If you want / need to add extra details onto something that you've knitted, you can embroider them on. Now, if you don't have any experience with embroidery, don't be scared. I'm going to teach you a really easy chain stitch embroidery technique today. I've gotten a few requests for a tutorial on this since I mentioned it in my football pattern, which, wink wink, is free when you sign up for my newsletter, link in the description. Here I have just a plain old worsted weight white yarn, nothing fancy. Embroidery floss would also work just fine. I'm leaving this tail hanging here. I will finish this off after I'm done. But for now, I've got the working yarn coming out from where I want my chain stitching to begin. So all I'll do is I'll take a small stitch in the direction I want it to go, making sure that I get the long tail of the yarn underneath the needle so that I'm catching that loop. And then as I'm working, I like to hold the yarn around. In this case, I want it to be a fairly even line, and so that helps me to stay where I want to be. And then as you're working each stitch, try to stay on the same side of the yarn. I'm right-handed, so I stitch usually to the right of where the yarn is. That way your little chain loops don't get twisted on themselves. And then I'll just keep stitching, taking fairly small stitches, but not too teeny tiny. You can be as freeform as you want. If you're doing like a vine or something that's a little bit less precise, you can definitely be freeform and it can make a wavy line and go all around. This is just going to be a plain old classic American football, so we're not going to get too fancy. Always stitching back in where the yarn previously came out, which is how we get that really continuous chain of stitches. And I think it's funny, it kind of looks like knitting, right? All right, there is about where I want to stop. And then in this case, I'm going to make a second row of chain stitches back this way to make it a little bit thicker. So to restart that, I'm going to just stitch in right here and out a little bit over so that my two rows are just sort of hugging each other. And then the same way, I just stitch right in where that yarn is coming out from, and then make sure it's looped around. This yarn is actually total garbage, so it's getting really splitty right now, but I am stash busting, so you know what, it's fine. I'm using it up. As you're stitching, be aware of how tight you're pulling it. If you pull it too tight, you may actually end up cinching the fabric, depending on your personality or the level of stress that you're feeling at the moment. You may be tempted to just pull the yarn really super tight, and that is not, it's not going to give you the same effect. If your yarn is tangling up a lot or fraying, I would suggest getting the yarn pretty snug around the needle before you start pulling it through, and then hold it down here. That way it's not getting pulled across the needle as it's also getting pulled up through this way. It may still tangle a little bit, but it's not going to mess up your stitch as much as far as the way it looks. And then to take care of the ends, we're going to do a little tiny stitch right in here. And then pull the yarn back through it to make a knot. Then stitch inside right where that came out. Take a big stitch into the stuffed animal or whatever you're doing. If you're making something that is not completely enclosed like this, you can definitely weave the ends in and make it all nice and neat. But for plushies, that's what we do. See it disappear? And this one we left dangling at the very beginning. We're going to bring it back up where it starts from here on the actual design. and then tie a little knot just right there. Just a little sewing knot. And back in, same as we did with all the others. Have you ever dabbled in embroidery, or are you a knitting purist? Let me know in the comments. I actually used to cross stitch, but I didn't do a whole lot of freeform embroidery. Check out the video on your screen over here for a completely different approach to embroidery on knitting. Thanks for watching, and as always, more on BeccaJNorman.com.